I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to another edition of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places to be tonight, but chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Before we kick off into the night show, I'd just like to tell you a little bit of something that happened in Florida with this horrible hurricane. Some of y'all follow the YouTube channel Let's Be Frank and Uniquely Us. Well, Frank is a personal friend of mine, and I just want to let y'all know that his house suffered some severe damage during the hurricane when it slammed into Florida Tuesday evening and Wednesday. Frank, along with his wife and kids, had recently moved to Florida and did not have homeowners insurance in place. If you are able, please donate to help in the recovery efforts for Frank and his family. Having lost our home during Hurricane Laura back in 2020, plus the massive flood that we lived through, I know very well what that feels like. And I understand firsthand what they're going through. And trust me when I say that it is utterly painful. And the agony is just, it's hard to describe, my friends. A link to donate is in the description of this video, as well as in my community section. If you are able, please do so to help Frank and his family. Also, if you haven't already subscribed to his channel, please do so. Again, it's Let's Be Frank, and the other YouTube channel is Uniquely Us. Okay, moving on. The White House announced this week that Joe Biden will break tradition by observing the 22nd anniversary of a 9/11 terrorist attack in Alaska, and not in New York or Washington, D.C. The president will travel to Alaska to participate in a memorial ceremony with members of the military and their families. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said in a statement from the White House. The Associated Press reported that the president will not make an appearance at any of the traditional 9/11 memorial sites in New York, Pennsylvania, or Virginia. Biden's in Alaska will be in Alaska. One of the worst terrorist attacks ever occurred on U.S. soil take place after the president's visit to a summit with world leaders in India, which will take place from September 7th to September 10th. Prior to returning to the United States for the observance of 9/11, Biden is scheduled to make a stop in Hanoi, Vietnam. According to White House, Biden is scheduled to meet with the General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong and other world leaders to discuss ways of developing additional cooperation between the two nations. Leaders will explore opportunities to promote the growth of a technology-focused and innovative driven Vietnamese economy, expand our people-to-people ties through education exchange and workplace development programs, combat climate change, and increase peace, prosperity, and stability in the region, the White House stated. So let me read between the lines for you. This administration doesn't want Biden to be at the 9/11 events because they would like to take away the fact that, the best that they can, that this event was caused by radical Islamic people. And they don't quite care for that to be out there. They would like to erase history, as you know they're doing with everything dealing with the Civil War, for instance. And same thing goes for 9/11. Yeah, I think that's pretty fucked up, to be honest with you. But hey, that's just me. The Washington Post chief fact checker, Glenn Keisler, took exception to several stories President Biden has repeatedly told about his life to connect with audiences in a piece that was aired today. Keisler went through several recurring stories that Biden has shared with crowds over the years and detailed how many of them were embellished or just plain not true. He declared, but throughout his career, Biden's propensity to exaggerate or embellish tales about his life led to doubts about his truthfulness. Kaiser analyzed Biden's recent recount of the past fires in his house, almost destroying his Corvette, and himself being arrested for standing up to civil rights era, and a story about the circumstances that led up to him to be accepting of same-sex relationships. Kaiser stated that each of these falsely stories from Biden are part of his tradition of embellishing his personal tales in ways that cannot be verified or are directly refuted by other people. The fact checker began with Biden's most recent exaggerated story. He wrote, at least 6 times as president, mostly recently in comments to hurricane victims in Florida on Wednesday, Biden has exaggerated the extent of a fire that occurred at his house back in 2004. In those retellings, Kaiser noted how Biden, then a U.S. Senator from Delaware, had claimed a couple of firefighters almost died, how his 1967 Corvette was nearly destroyed, and that a significant portion of the house was burnt to the ground. Fact checker corrected the record, saying the news accounts in the Wilmington News Journal and the Associated Press are much less dramatic. Citing outlets, he added, Biden's house on Barley Mill Road was reportedly hit by lightning at 8:16 a.m. Emergency officials said, the News Journal reported, there were no injuries and firefighters kept the fire contained to one room. Kansas Heights Fire Company Chief George Lamborn told the newspaper the flames did not spread from the kitchen. Luckily, we got it pretty early. The fire was under control in 20 minutes. Keisler then mentioned Biden's often used anecdote about his conversation with an Amtrak conductor. He wrote, at least 10 times as president, most recently during his August 15th speech in Milwaukee, Biden has told a heartwarming but implausible story about an Amtrak conductor named Angelo Najera, who congratulated him for traveling more on Amtrak than he had on Air Force One planes as vice president. As Biden has told the story, Nigel congratulated the then vice president for traveling 2 million miles on Amtrak trains, almost doubling the amount he has traveled on Air Force One. Kaiser corrected this, saying, but it's not possible his conversation took place as Biden describes. Biden did not pass the 1.2 million mile mark until 2016. Nigel retired from the Amtrak train in 1993, 16 years before Biden became vice president. Nigel died in 2014, 2 years before Biden claims that he had this conversation. He talks to dead people too, by the way. The fact checker also poked holes in one of Biden's go-to gay rights story. Kaiser stated 3 times this year, and the last time since 2014, Biden has told a version, most recently on August 10th, of a story about words his father supposedly spoke about a teenage Biden saw 2 well-dressed men in suits kiss each other in downtown Wilmington in the early 1960s. However, the author noted, Biden depicts a scene that would have been unsure 6 decades ago. He describes the exchange with his father usually taking place in 1961, but back then, gay men generally did not kiss in public. many people regarding homosexuality as deviant. Moreover, Kaiser added, Biden's story has evolved over time. In 2014, in a New York Times article on his evolution of same-sex marriage, he was the father in the story speaking to one of his sons. The journalist threw cold water on Biden's civil rights story as well. He reported Biden has a tangent role in the civil rights movement. Fact checker determined that he repeated in one walkout at a restaurant and picketed segregation in movie theaters. Sometimes he has suggested he was arrested by advocating on behalf of Black people. Kaiser mentioned Biden's claim that he was arrested for standing on the porch with a Black couple who were subject to demonstrations, he stated. But then we investigated. The story did not add up because the story did not happen, because the story was fake. There was a protest, a Black couple who had purchased a house in the all-white area, but it was a neighborhood many miles from the Biden home. Fact checker also noted that Biden's assertion that he was arrested while visiting Nelson Mandela was false, adding he had amended the statement to say he was stopped at the airport while traveling with congressional delegation, though others on the delegation said it did not happen. Still, the White House championed Biden's honesty. Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates told Post, President Biden has brought honesty and integrity back to the Oval Office. Like he promised, he gives the American people the truth right from the shoulder and takes pride in being straight with the country about his agenda and his values, including by sharing life experiences that have shaped the outlook and hardworking people that he relates to. Except they're all lies. And none of it's the truth. Look, the left will tell you that Trump told 30,000 lies, but yet they can't point to any of them. And I'm sure Trump did tell some lies about something. I'm sure all presidents have said something, whether they meant to intentionally lie about it or didn't intentionally mean to lie about it or mislead or whatever the case may be. But this guy almost weekly says something and repeats something that's already been debunked many times over, and he keeps doing it. Now, I don't know if it's because of his age and maybe dementia setting in or what. I mean, we all know, we see what's happening with this president. We see what's happening with all the older people that are running Washington, D.C. It's not good, folks. It looks really, really bad on the country. We have Mitch McConnell, once again, walking up to a microphone to give a speech about something and then just blatantly stopping and staring into the camera. Like he's just not there. He checked out. And people having to walk up to him and going, "Are you okay, sir? Sir?" Or, he's just, Dianne Feinstein, she can't even get out of a freaking wheelchair. She's drooling all over herself. Why? Why? The people that are responsible for these people are not being responsible. Jill Biden should have stepped in a long time ago and pulled her husband away from this disaster that's unfolding in front of cameras. But she's not. No one is. No one is standing up to protect this guy. Same thing goes with Mitch McConnell and Dianne Feinstein and the rest of them. We need term limits. We can't have this turn into an assisted living facility in Washington, D.C. And that's where we're at right now. We're all going to get old one day. I'm going to get old. You're going to get old. And God forbid, when that time comes, don't let me sit in front of a microphone and do this shit. Okay? Much less be president of the United States or a member of Congress or the Senate, where the whole world is watching me make a fool out of myself. And that's what we're witnessing. And it's pretty sad.
For those of you that believe in we're not alone in the universe, you're going to love this next story. The Pentagon today announced the launch of a new website with the All Domain Anonymity Resolution Office, AARO, with which will provide the public with declassified information about UFOs or what the government calls unidentified aerial phenomena. Pentagon spokesperson Brigadier General Patrick Ryder said at a press briefing that the new website will provide the public with information, including videos and photos associated with resolved UAP cases as they are declassified and approved for public release. Other information, the general said, will be available, including reports, trends, and frequently asked questions section, as well as links to official reports, transcripts, press releases, and other resources the public may find useful. The department is committed to transparency with the American people on the AARO's work on UAPs, Ryder said. He added that the site will serve as a one-stop shop for information that the public is available, and AARO will regularly update the website with its most recent findings. With new information is cleared for public to view it. The new website can be accessed at aaro.mil, M-I-L. I've already checked it out. It's pretty freaking cool. There's a few videos that are already up there, some that have been debunked, some that they don't know what they are, and other things that are pretty cool to look at. The announcement comes just days after 6 members of Congress demanded details from the intelligence community about alleged secret programs that retrieval crash UFOs and reverse engineering technology has been taking place. UFO whistleblower David Grosh alluded to both programs in statements under oath during July 26 House Oversight Committee hearing that highlighted decades of alleged government secrecy around UFOs and UAPs. Grosh refrained from giving any more details during a public hearing because of an open whistleblower reprisal case against him. 6 members of Congress signed the August 21st letter to Inspector General Thomas Moheb, Representatives Tim Burchett, Jared McCosway, Anna Paul Luna, Nancy Mace, Eric Bolson, and Andy Orgs. Grosh testified during the hearing that he knows colleagues who were injured while reverse engineering UFO technology and said the government absolutely has had UFOs tech and biologists of non-human origins since the 1930s and knows the exact location where they're being held at. Grosh said during the hearing that he can provide specifics in a classified setting. Grosh was one of 3 key figures who testified during the July 26 hearing, which also included firsthand accounts from decorated military pilot Ryan Graves and David Fravor, who have witnessed and, in Fravor's case, engaged a UFO while in the air. He was a naval pilot, and that's the famous TikTok video that's out. Fravor, retired squad leader of the Black Aces, who served 18 years as a Navy pilot, spotted what is known as the TikTok UFO during a 2004 training mission. The object was far superior to anything that we have at the time, have today, or are looking to develop in the next 10 plus years, Fravor said in his opening statement. So again, that website is aaro.mil. Check it out when you have time. It's really pretty cool. And they're supposedly going to keep us updated with everything that's going in there, everything that they're investigating. Once they determine it's something, what it actually is, and maybe it was an airplane or fireworks or whatever, then they will tell you what they found. And then when there's something that they don't know what it is, they can't figure it out, they tell you that too. And there's a few of those videos up there right now where they say, we have no idea what this is. We've investigated it, and it's something that's technology that we just don't have. So it's pretty cool. Check it out when you have time. Gold Star families. Gold Star families which at the end of all my shows, I tell you to please pray for them and Blue Star families, and as well as angel families. So angel families are people who lost a loved one to an illegal alien who killed them. And Blue Star families are families that have a family member that is deployed in the military. And Gold Star families are families who lost their loved one while serving in the military. Gold Star father Mark Schmitz had harsh words on Tuesday, for President Joe Biden's response to the terrorist attack in Kabul, Afghanistan, that killed 13 service members in August of 2021. Schmitz spoke as part of the House Foreign Affairs Committee roundtable with Gold Star families to address the Kabul terrorist attack 2 years after it took place during the U.S. withdrawal. 2 years has gone by, and where are we? To be frank, we're knee-deep in bullshit is where we are. Everyone who held a key position in the military still has that permission or has been promoted, Schmitz said. Not a single person has been held accountable. Our so-called leader can't seem to even utter their names in public, not even once, he continued. Mr. Biden has run his entire campaign for 50 years as a family man. Well, I've got news for you, sir. The curtain has been lifted, and that campaign slogan will never work again. We have seen what's going on in your family, and even worse, we've seen how you've been treated, us Gold Star families. And there could be anything more disgusting and cowardly than the way you have treated us. You are a disgrace to the nation. You, sir, stole their lives, their futures, their dreams, and have ripped apart 13 families. You cannot even man up and admit that. You, sir, gave us all the title Gold Star family. You, sir, discredited honor and integrity. Schmitz testified, adding that he believes Biden to have more American blood on your hands than any other president in history. His son, Marine Corps Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, died at age 20 as a result of the suicide bombing at Kabul Hamid Karzai International Airport on August 26, 2021. According to Freedom 13, an organization founded by Smith and his wife to honor the 13 U.S. soldiers who were killed during the terrorist attack. Today, Jill and I remember the mourn these 13 brave American service members and the more than 100 innocent Afghan civilians who were killed in a horrific terrorist attack at Abbey Gate, Biden said in a statement this past Saturday honoring the 2-year anniversary of the Kabul attack. He did not include the names of the fallen service members in his remarks. Daily Caller previously spoke with the parents of 5 service members who were killed by the suicide bomber in Kabul. As far as any sympathy from the administration in the last 2 years, there's been none. That was very surprising to me, said Stephen Nakoya, the father of Marine Lance Corporal Kareem Nakora, who was 20 at the time of his death. I thought, they would have reached out at some point, but that hasn't happened. Also, Gold Star mother Paula Stelf said Tuesday that President Joe Biden is ultimately responsible for the terrorist attack in Kabul, Afghanistan, that killed her son and 12 others, U.S. service members. President Biden and his executive cabinet must accept responsibility publicly for the chaotic withdrawal at the end of the 20-year war. Several presidents preceding Biden in his 20-year war, but none of them are to be held accountable for the withdrawal. That is he and he alone. That is the burden that he has, she said. Her son, Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Christian Knauss, was killed at age 23 by the suicide bomber. He was supporting non-combatant evacuation operations at the time of his death. All good here, Mom. I love you, was the last text Ryan sent his mother. The Daily Caller previously spoke with the parents of 5 service members who were killed during the Abbey Gate terrorist attack on August 26, 2021. This year is so difficult. I'm so frustrated. I'm so mad. I can't believe that they did that to our kids. Carol Brustron, the mother of Colonel Hobart Sanchez, one of the service members killed, said, nobody's paying for what they did. Nobody is saying, yes, we messed up, and I'm sorry. And it's pretty messed up. You can feel the pain that these families are suffering. You can watch their testimony right here on YouTube. It's all over the internet for you to see. And they really hate this man for the way he did this. And they're not alone, okay? As a combat veteran myself, and every combat veteran that I serve with, everybody that I know that served in the military, even those that are Democrats, agree that this was a claustral screw up from hell. Should have never went down the way it did. There were so many other ways this should have been done. We've heard conflicting stories from the Joint Chiefs of Staff as to what they recommended, and that Biden refused it and did it his way only. And it got people killed. It got 13 more people killed. To withdraw and stop the war over there, he killed more people by doing it his way instead of the way that was recommended by the military leaders. In the future, more of that will come out. We already have people coming forward that were there in the military, that were part of this operation, have spoken out about how it was just a clusterfuck from hell, and how disheartened they were. And many other veterans that served in Afghanistan, wondering what did we do this for? What was the purpose if we're just going to surrender to the same people that attacked us on 9/11? And that's how most veterans, I would say 99.9% of most veterans, view this, what this administration did and how they did it. And then if that wasn't bad enough, I've said it once, I'll say it again. As far as I'm concerned, Joe Biden should be charged with treason, because he then left in the hands of the Taliban billions of dollars of military equipment, and then lied and said it was all destroyed so they couldn't use it. And we now have had service members that were there that came out and said that some of it was destroyed, yes, but the majority of it was not, because there wasn't time. He just wanted us out of there, and didn't give them time to do what they needed to do to destroy it. And we've seen the videos of the Taliban training themselves to fly Black Hawk helicopters that were left behind. Not to mention weapons, different types of weapon systems, ammunition, Humvees, lots of food, water, aiding and abetting the enemy. That's what Joe Biden is guilty of. That is a treasonous act. There's no other way of putting it. If you look up treason and you look at what we did with this Afghanistan withdrawal, this president is guilty of treason. And the guy he used to work for is as well. Obama. Okay? Obama traded 5 known terrorists that were captured on the battlefield, killing Americans, for one Army deserter, which was Sergeant Bardog. That's aiding and abetting the enemy, basically. What happened to the whole point of we don't negotiate with terrorists? And we know this guy abandoned his unit. We know he went to the Taliban freely and willingly. So fuck him. He should have stayed there. Not only did Obama trade 5 known terrorists that are responsible for killing American and coalition forces, but also gave them millions of dollars as well in this exchange. Actually, I think it was billions. I don't remember the exact number, but I do believe it was over $1 billion that we gave them. And that's aiding and abetting the enemy. But they're not being charged with that. Never going to be charged with that because their last name isn't Trump. And they don't wear MAGA hats. And they don't have an R after their name for Republican or conservative. It's a two-tier justice system, and that's how it works in America these days. So I don't expect to see anybody held accountable for shit anymore, sadly. New York City voters explain why they're supporting Democrat presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over President Biden. Fox News Digital caught up with voters attending Kennedy's Brooklyn town hall on Wednesday, where the Democrat presidential candidate spoke on several issues. One voter, Ryan Amid, said he is supporting Kennedy because he believes the Democrat challenger is going to unite the nation. I really feel that right now. What our nation lacks is unity, Ahmad said. I feel like Kennedy, what he's going to do is he's going to unite the nation. Some of his ideas are traditional, physical, conservative people, and some are Democrat ideas. But it's the good of both, he continued. The good of the Republican Party and the good of the Democrat Party. And that's what we need, Ahmad said, adding that he believes Kennedy carries on the last name of his family. Another voter, Wally Wolfgerber, said she is very excited about Kennedy's candidacy and hopes that he will bring more unity and peace to America and the world. After all this separation, just to be able to tolerate of each other different opinions. Wolfgerber said she was originally from Germany, but is a U.S. citizen now. The right to have an opinion and to express it is so basic in our democracy, and I feel it's kind of going away. I'm also very disturbed about the war still going on in Europe. And in this day and age, why can't we talk? Why can't we believe in the possibility we can solve problems by talking with each other? She continued, adding that very few people benefit from making a profit off military action. War is never a good thing. People die, our children die, she said, adding, I think it could have been already if we had different leadership like Kennedy. Kennedy addressed a crowd of about 800 people gathered at Brooklyn Warehouse Wednesday, speaking on a number of topics, including immigration, inflation, the housing market, and ending the war in Ukraine. I'm running against two presidents who both served one term and essentially are gaslighting the American people by telling them that they produce a wave of prosperity for this country. They're running on that record, Kennedy said. Guarding our applause, these traumas, my uncle's death, my father's death, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Vietnam War itself, 9/11, and ultimately the COVID crisis, these series of traumas, all of them played this role in pushing us further and further down the road Eisenhower warned us against, the military-industrial complex, Kennedy told a cheering audience. And now, over the past 20 years, we've spent $8 trillion on useless wars. And we're now in another one in Ukraine that could have easily been avoided. It could have easily been settled, which many of us have been saying all along. Big Anthony, a Marine and the New York City voter, told Fox News Digital that this stage of his life, he wants to make the country a better place for all Americans, not just certain people who get certain rights, Big Anthony said. We have no rights anymore. Our freedom of speech has been taken away. The First, Second, and Fourth Amendment have been trampled upon. The way we're treated us like we're a bunch of morons, he continued. The man running the country and the people behind him are evil. We could ask 100 questions. What happened to the pipeline? Why are we making our senior citizens not live right? Why are we destroying the schools? He said. Look, I have nothing against people's sexual preference, but why are we telling 3 and 4-year-old kids, are you a boy or are you a girl? It's insanity, he added. Have we lost our minds? Yeah, we have. In addition to seeing Kennedy, Big Anthony told Fox News Digital he came out to support U.S. Senate candidate Diane Sar, an independent, hoping to challenge incumbent Senator Christian Gillibrand, Democrat in New York in 2024. Fox News Digital spoke to Sar about why she is aligning herself with Kennedy. I think we really need a maverick voice. I suspect the Democrat Party will rally, try to crush and destroy him, as they did with Bernie Sanders and as they did with Tulsi Gabbard. Sarah told Fox News Digital of Kennedy. I don't know what's going to happen. I would hope he ends up running as an independent ultimately. I think the nation is weary of war, which is probably why Kennedy is leading Democrat candidates and Trump is the Republican candidate. She said, I think the number one issue is avoiding thermonuclear war. I think we're much closer than people realize. I don't think the Biden administration has any clue what they're doing. They're unbelievably arrogant and ignorant. And wow, I couldn't have said that better if I tried. Very well said, actually. Let's talk for a moment about what I mentioned a few minutes ago, the two-tier justice system. Here's what I'd like to ask you to do. You go on social media to the Department of Justice and the FBI's social media platforms. They're on X, formerly Twitter. They're on Facebook. They have their own websites. And I want you to politely reach out to them and tell them you're an American that doesn't like what they're doing to our country, and that you don't like the fact that they treat Democrats one way and treat Republicans another. Our Department of Justice and our FBI should not be weaponized politically, and they are. I want you to be respectful. I don't want you to say something stupid or rude because it could come back to haunt you bad. Definitely don't make any threats because that's going to get you arrested. But they need to hear our voices. They need to hear the American people call them out for what they're doing. And it's not your average man and woman in the FBI or Department of Justice is working their ass off doing their job. No, it's the leadership. It's Director Wray. It's Merrick Garland. The leadership is corrupt and it needs to change. They need to step down. Congress needs to hold them accountable. That started to happen when the Republicans took over the House. I don't even know where it is anymore. I don't even think they're even following suit on that anymore. I don't understand why. I want them to. I'm sure most of you want them to. We want a justice system in this country that is equal. Lady Justice wears a blindfold for a reason. Our current FBI and our Department of Justice has forgot that reason. I mean, the writing's all over the wall. Look at Hunter Biden. Look at Joe Biden and the classified documents. Trump is indicted on what documents he took, and Joe Biden is not. Joe Biden had documents all over the fucking place that he took when he was vice president, that he took when he was a member of Congress. They found documents in both of his homes, in both of his offices, in his garage next to his Corvette. And they did nothing to him, but they indicted Donald Trump for it. And then look what's happening to Trump in some of the other cases. The one that Briggs brought about the payout to Stormy Daniels. When we already know, here's the thing about it. They know it's not going to go anywhere. Okay? It's just a distraction to try and get Trump to go away because they know what's going to happen. They know he's going to become the next president if he runs against Joe Biden because Joe Biden don't even know where he's at anymore. I mean, I would vote for Barney the Purple Dinosaur over Joe Biden right now, and I don't even know who the fuck's wearing that purple ridiculous looking outfit. But he's got to be more intelligent than this son of a bitch. You cannot have a country that is based on freedoms and a constitution that delivers that for you if you completely rip up that part of the Constitution and do things your own way. And that's what's happening with the Department of Justice. So why didn't the DOJ step in when Briggs come up with this case with Stormy Daniels and said, wait a minute, we already have Stormy Daniels on record saying it never happened. But then later she changes her story when she realizes she can make mega bucks. So that case is thrown out the fucking window. You're gonna take Trump down for taking some documents out of the White House when the sitting president did 10 times that? And you're doing nothing about it? You're going to let his son not pay taxes, buy a gun illegally, throw it in a trash can outside where kids could have got a hold to it, a crackhead. You know, now there's things coming out about the cocaine in the White House that it was a delivery for Hunter Biden, is what some of the whistleblowers have come forward saying that. And nothing's getting done about it. You know, and then we have the indictment in Georgia. Give me a fucking break. You're going to try and convict Donald Trump for using his First Amendment rights, for repeating what we all watched taking place. He just repeated the same shit that we all watched. And news outlets all over the fucking world, as well as people in power saying, look at this shit. We have areas that at midnight, the night of the election, Trump was leading by thousands of votes. And they just up and decided we're not going to count anymore. We're going home. It's too late. Come back the next day. Oh, we counted all those and every one of them went to Joe Biden. I mean, it was obvious that there were things happening that just weren't right. Whether or not it was enough to swing the election, that's irrelevant. What we know is we saw things happening that were not right. We saw there's video evidence of it, of workers coming in with boxes of ballots that came from where? And sliding them up underneath tables and hiding them underneath shit. And then when they count them, every one of them were for Joe Biden. We watched on a run-up to that election where one candidate, Donald Trump, is having to have his campaign rallies in big freaking huge auditoriums that are set up for performing artists because thousands of people were showing up to see it. Thousands. And the other guy can't get 50 people to show up at a fucking high school gymnasium. And we want to destroy Trump for that, for saying, I believe that it was rigged. I believe the election was stolen. So does most people with common sense by looking at what took place. They said, oh, well, there's no evidence of that. The courts rejected it. The courts, not one single court allowed it to go into evidence to hear it. Not one. None of them wanted to hear it. That's what courts are for. If you have proof of wrongdoing, that's what the court system is for. And what did our justice system do? It didn't allow it to go in front of a jury of his peers. Never. We became a banana republic when that took place. And how many times have you heard Hillary Clinton, even to this day, say that she won that election, or that it was stolen for her, or that it was Russian disinformation? Why wasn't she arrested? Or any of the other Democrats that still, up in Washington, D.C., say that Hillary won? They refused to admit that Trump won that election. None of them are being arrested. Hell, this DA in Georgia is on record when she was running for that position saying that if you elect me, I will take Trump down. That was in her fucking campaign. So all of a sudden, he doesn't have freedom of speech anymore. And then we're going to throw in an indictment of, oh, he's responsible for what happened on January 6th up at the Capitol. We got the text messages. We got the fucking the Twitter account tweets. We heard what the man said. We are the party of peace, and we support law and order. We support the cops. Don't do this. He wasn't advocating take down the fucking house, storm in there. That's what they want you to believe. That's what CNN wants you to believe. That's what MSNBC wants you to believe. That's what many Democrats want you to believe. None of that's going to hold up. It's just a waste of your money. Everything that's happened to Trump so far, and look, regardless if you like the guy or don't like the guy, you have to admit none of this shit's real. None of it's going to do anything. It can't do anything. There's no way to fucking make it do anything when it's not true. You know, think back to the Bush-Gore 2020 campaign. Or 2000, the hanging chads. Did Gore go to prison for that? Why not? According to the Georgia DA, that should get him in, that should put him away. Indict Gore, for crying out loud. And all of the Democrats back then that swore up and down that Bush stole that election, and to this day still say it. He didn't steal shit. Anyhow, it's very disheartening. I know it's disheartening for you. I know anyone that is an American citizen that considers himself a patriot especially those that believe in our Constitution and understand what it says, that you're very hurt by what you're watching happen to our nation. It's difficult to watch. Imagine how us that put on the uniform for this flag feel while we're watching one party trying to destroy everything that our forefathers ever did. Everything about our Constitution. And, and there's those on the left that say, oh, well, the Republicans are guilty of that, and they shit on our Constitution too, and da da da. Where? Instead of saying this is what Republicans did, point to instances, point to where Republicans did that. And I'll talk about it. But you can't. Because unless it's some BS that CNN or MSNBC made up, didn't happen. I'm explaining to you what the Democrats are doing to this country and where they're doing it and how they're doing it. And they're getting away with it because they weaponize our justice system and our FBI and our Department of Justice. The only way this ever gets fixed is come election time. Republicans have to get off our ass and vote in overwhelming numbers, literally smother them at the polling places with numbers, and take back the Senate and keep the House, and then get 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's how we fix this. Without that, we're done. Stick a fork in it. There's no recovering. This is our last chance. This is it. It's coming up. It is our last chance of bringing this country back to the freedoms that you earn as an American citizen, as long as you don't illegally do something that gets those stripped from you, as many people do from time to time. This is the best country in the world, hands down, even though we've gone through a lot of shit and continue to go through a lot of shit with the FBI and Department of Justice and the Biden administration and all the absolute batshit crazy things that we witness and hear happening on a day-to-day basis. All of that, and we're still better than every other country out there. I know because I've been to them. Been all over this world. Ask those that have also been all over this world, especially that served in the military, and they will tell you the same thing. But there's going to come a time in the very near future, if things continue on the road they're going, that's no longer going to be the case. That we're going to become just another shithole country, wasting away, doing corrupt dictator shit to our people. And if you don't see that happening right now with this administration, wake the fuck up, because it's bad and it's getting worse. Folks, you had many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Whatever you're going to do this weekend, please be safe doing it. Hope you all have a wonderful evening tonight. Whatever you're doing this weekend, I hope you have fun. Hope you're able to see your family and friends and do something cool. In the description of this video also is where you can find me on other social media platforms. Follow me there. I do the same thing for you. And also as a description, in the description of this is a link for donation to help Frank out, our friend here on YouTube, whose house was destroyed in the hurricane over in Florida. And also you can find that same link in my community section. And that's it for tonight's show. I'll be back next week. If anything breaks between now and then, I'll put a video out about it, or I will do a show. I probably will be putting out a video soon called Do Not Comply. And you can guess what that's going to be about. But I'm going to share some things with you that a lot of people just don't know because it's been squashed through history. And you need to know. And I'll leave it at that. But it's going to be something that it's going to be difficult to do because it's hard to repeat these things, but it needs to be said. And I'll probably do that this weekend and get it out there. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, our angel families, our Blue and Gold Star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. Have already done so, please subscribe to the channel, share it for friends and family, and also go check out DouglasDucote.com. And I'll see you again next Tuesday right here at 8 p.m. Central Time. Thank you. God bless you. And have a wonderful, wonderful night.